Welcome to Just Say Knox, a series from Seco Environmental. I'm your host today, Tyler Kern. Thank you so much for joining us. Joining me today to talk about fast start emissions compliance focused on RACER is a subject matter expert from Peerless. His name is Vaughn Watson. Vaughn, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks, Tyler.
Awesome. Well, so Vaughn, let's start off talking about the gas turbine market these days. What are you seeing in terms of operations?
A lot of gas-fired combined cycle facilities are being asked to augment renewables with the rise in renewables, wind and solar. And a lot of times those are contingent on the weather, and when the sun goes down, these plants need to ramp up quickly. And when the sun is shining bright, they need to run parked at a lower load. And this causes some issues with the emissions controls in that regard.
So what are some of the big challenges that you see when it comes to the emissions controls, like what you were just mentioning?
Yeah, so on a fast start, you basically have to vaporize a large quantity of ammonia to meet the emissions while the unit is coming up to temperature. So things like the catalyst getting to its efficiency point while still providing the system enough temperature to vaporize that ammonia is a big challenge. And then on the lower end of the scale, where plants are parking at a lower load, the emissions are considerably higher. And so specific design considerations need to be taken into consideration there.
So tell me a little bit more about fast start and some of the challenges associated with that.
Yeah, so a lot of these facilities used to have maintenance, startup, and shutdown permissives in their operating permit. That's getting restricted considerably due to emissions regulations. So plants are now having to maintain emissions compliance while the unit is ramping up. They need to be able to turn on their gas turbine as quickly as possible while still meeting emissions. And to do that, we have a technology called RACER, Rapid Advantage SCR. And that allows us to, say, win in that time over temperature race and have the quantity of ammonia needed to maintain their emissions controls vaporize very rapidly. As I mentioned, the catalyst is coming up to temperature and getting on its efficiency curve while we are dosing it simultaneously with ammonia, and it's real important that the controls of that are done very specifically, and that's what RACER does.
So tell me a little bit more about low load then, if that's the fast start side of things. Tell me a little bit more about low load and the challenges there.
Yeah, particularly on the CO oxidation catalyst, low load operation usually drives the CO, the carbon monoxide emissions, through the roof. And so there are particular design considerations we need to look at to make sure that that catalyst is sized appropriately and we can still maintain their emissions during those lower load operations.
So are there any other operational advantages to this technology like what you're mentioning?
Yeah, historically, plants that needed ammonia vaporization would either use electric or hot gas recirculation. On the one hand, the electric vaporization requires about 1/4 megawatt that is powered that they could be selling.
Yeah.
The other side of the equation is hot gas fans require a lot of maintenance and they oftentimes have inherent issues. And so plants that we speak with either are concerned about parasitic load and they'd like to recover that,
right,
or they're concerned about the maintenance headaches they're dealing with on this. This RACER technology offers not only a third alternative that gets away from these two problems, but what we'll find is on a case-by-case basis, there's an ROI that almost makes it pay for itself within a year because of its lower cost of operation.
People like that idea of the ROI for sure.
Yeah, and we're happy to evaluate on a plant-by-plant basis. We would just need a few operating characteristics to evaluate that. But sizing the system for a more modern-day SCR and sizing the system for a modern-day fast start is something that we're specialists in.
And you've been to a lot of plants, so you've seen a lot of different things that you have experience in this area.
Oh, absolutely. Seco Peerless is more than 1,000 SCR systems worldwide. In the past few years with modern gas turbine technologies, we've been trying to stay on the cutting edge of that. We have a lot of plants that are meeting 96+% NOx reduction, 98+ CO and VOC destruction of about 40 to 50%. And we have plants running at less than 2 parts per million of ammonia slips. So we've got a lot of experience. We spend a lot of time in the field working with plants on upgrades and other things like that. And we're happy to help your plant.
Awesome. Well, Vaughn, thank you so much for joining today and sharing your expertise in this area.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And everybody, thank you for tuning into this episode of Just Say Knox. We'll be back soon with more insight from Vaughn Watson, but until then, thank you for watching.